All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be another Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the third episode for The Walking Dead Season 10. And this one we'll give our thoughts first on the potential release dates for The Walking Dead movies, how long they're taking, and then we'll get into Beta needing to be hospitalized from filming of Season 10, as well as some of your guys' Q&A questions. Alright, and I'll put the links in the description so you guys can go ahead and check these out from comicbook.com. The first one is an article from Brandon Davis at comicbook.com, and he said, the Walking Dead movies are taking way too long. And, I agree with him for the most part, but I kind of knew it ahead of time, It does say here that, we'll just quote it, the big problem the movies are facing are people losing interest in The Walking Dead as a whole. The show is the best it has been in years, as the Whispers have truly spiced things up, and the main characters have become fun to watch again, regardless of the peaks and valleys or opinions fans, diehard or casuals, might have about the past 5 years of the show. The numbers don't lie. The show hit its lowest rating ever with the season 10 premiere, and then after that, episode 2 was even lower than that. It was in the 3 millions. But that's just for live TV viewing. I don't think it factors in premiere, and I don't think it factors in, other ways people are watching stuff nowadays. But I do have to agree with him. I knew it ahead of time. He gets into more here about kind of the ratings and it being like 17 million viewers back in 2016 and that kind of stuff. And that's all true. That's all true. That's kind of what it is. But that's the way it is with absolutely any TV series. I mean, whatever it is that's hot, whatever it is that's on. Give it 10 years, give it 5 or 10 years, and it won't be anymore. That's just the nature of things. There's nothing you can do about that. I am personally really happy that they're doing the movies, but when he left last year, because it's been a full year now since Andrew Lincoln left The Walking Dead, and I still think they have not begun filming the movie yet. I think he was filming Penguin Bloom, and so there was that kind of in between. He has said categorically he's never going to return to the Walking Dead TV series. So it's kind of unfortunate. Now, they did kind of confirm that they're going to have a universal release, which means that it's going to be a big budget type movie. It's not going to be just an AMC TV movie. It's going to be a big time Walking Dead movie. Scott Gimple has compared it to Logan, for example, as something that can stand on its own as a story by itself. And, of course, it's going to be tricky to see how they're going to work everything out because, you have Rick, who was a part of this group, and he can't go back to that group in the movies, so they have to kind of, work it out creatively in such a way where it's still a really good movie, but you can't have him just go back to Alexandria. So you have to kind of fit it into however, creatively that's going to work out for it. Personally, I am still really excited to see the Walking Dead movie. Some people have said, this season already, like they're really missing seeing Rick in The Walking Dead. And I do think that the creative team for The Walking Dead has done their absolute best to do everything they can to try to keep the original television series going, to try to keep it just as fun as ever, to try to keep it, to have everybody still as hyped as they can get for the season. I mean, the thing is that after 10 years, there's no way you're going to be able to keep absolutely everybody around permanently. And so, luckily for us, like if you look at the Walking Dead comics and when they ended after Rick left, so to speak, I'll keep it spoiler-free, but after Rick left in the comics, it was literally over the next release. It was over the next issue. So Kirkman decided, and Charlie Adler decided that after Rick was gone, they were going to end the story, and that was going to be it. Luckily for us, the Walking Dead television series has gone on past Rick and has still been pretty good without him. So, it's the next best thing. I mean, to have the movies to look forward to get to know that, well, Rick's not dead. He's still alive in the movie version, and we're going to get to see him in the movie version of The Walking Dead in what could be a really cool kind of release. It's better than if they had to kill him off and go on without him in that way. That would have been pretty savage for fans to have to see if they had to actually witness the death of Rick, and one that I don't know if a lot of people would have come back from. So at least this way, they've kept the TV series going. It's been a year. It's probably going to be another year or two before we get close to a release date for this one, unfortunately. In a good way, we're going to get to see it in theaters, which is going to be cool to see it be a big budget movie and everything like that. On the negative side of that, on the flip side of that, unfortunately, because it's going to be big budget and it's going to be big universal release and everything like this, it's probably going to take longer. Instead of them doing like a TV movie, which they could probably crank out faster, but wouldn't be as epic, they've gone with the choice to make it as epic as they can, but it's going to take some time. It might be, I wouldn't even be surprised if it was after season 11, when the movie first aired, that's quite a while. That means you've gone through 2 full seasons, 2 full years of no Rick to then see the movie release after that point. But at least it's something, and, when they first started, I knew right away, like, this is probably what it was going to be. So it is unfortunate. Let me know how you guys are feeling right now that The Walking Dead Season 10 has actually started airing and we're seeing the new episodes, minus Rick, and then, of course, not really getting almost any information about the movies aside from like a few updates as to what it might be eventually, but no actual release date, and they haven't even started the filming process of it yet. The next one, if you guys have not heard about this one, is that Ryan Hurst, who plays Beta in the Walking Dead TV series, it looks like was hospitalized, unfortunately, during filming for The Walking Dead Season 10. We saw in the second episode there, they're walking around in the heat. Just like I said in my review, it's basically exactly what I said. As I said was that anybody who's worked outside in the sun, anybody who's done a job either working on a farm or just working outside general labor or whatever you're doing, one of these types of jobs in the heat, if you have layers on, man, it's going to be difficult to do, and you can get into fuzziness where you're not quite sure what's going on, like they did with the sister there in the second episode, which I thought was really good. But it looks like it was even more true than we thought of, because he said that, oh my God, I landed at the hospital once this year from heat exhaustion. Ryan Hurst said, I'm in a leather trench coat and 2 layers under that in Georgia in the summer. It's no joke, man. So I wish I could say that I hate it, but I love it. Nicotero is a master teacher when it comes to zombie stuff, and it's so comfortable. So even though you're in Atlanta in 110-degree weather, I love wearing that mask. I really do. So that's kind of funny. So yeah, man, I mean, it's just something where it's like... there will be some sacrifice to get the stuff done for us. There will be something that, they've got to go through to get these scenes and everything. But, yeah, I can just imagine, right, having all that gear on in the heat, in the sun, you're walking around, you're doing the scenes for like a whole day or something. And, especially once you go over like the 8-hour mark. Once you go over 8 hours, you start getting into like overtime territory. If you do like a 10 or 12 or 14 outside in the sun, I mean, the next day you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, it's sort of like, I think what it is I think you have to get accustomed to it. I think your body has to get used to it. And if you go from like current living, air-conditioned world to that right away, it's like, it's brutal, the shift, because your body's not used to it. If you, for example, are somebody who does it all the time, you work outside all the time, you work on a farm or something all year or something, as the winter ends, the spring starts to come, you're going to go outside and you kind of your body gets more and more accustomed to it, so it's not so bad when it's really hot out. You're kind of used to it. But for people that are not at all used to it and they go right in like that, it messes you up really bad, and yeah, absolutely, you can get sick. So I guess it does bring into question the Whisperer's way of life, though. It's like, how do they survive all the time living outside like that? But sometimes they go into the shade as well, too, with the trees and stuff like that, too. So I guess it makes sense. We do have some questions for today from you guys, and you can send me any others that you have. Of course, we got episode 3 coming up soon, so excited for that. gnomenffc says, one of the better episodes of The Walking Dead for some time, for episode 2. The horror element had been missing for some time, which is what I think has put viewers off the show. More horror and zombie threat moments in the show are needed. What are your thoughts on this, Trev? So, yeah, I mean, as I said during the review, I think that most people were happy with kind of the gore and the horror and it being very scary in the second episode. It was, however, the second, like what they said, it was the lowest viewed episode of The Walking Dead ever on Premiere. But still, I thought it was a good episode and I enjoyed it and everything. And it's true, they did have some darker moments, and it sounds like everybody was mostly kind of happy about having those darker moments. They weren't, because the thing with me is, like, I've seen people complain about the brutality before, like after the season 7 premiere, and just tell them to shut up, But we have to understand too, there's a lot of different people that watch the show. Some people are less, they're not so kind of used to seeing that, but that's true. That's what the series is. It's a horror series. It's a zombie apocalypse series. It probably should be dark. It probably should be brutal and gruesome at some times, and especially for the Whisperers, it fits in. Giuseppe DeRosa said The Walking Dead still feels like it is a void without Rick Grimes, so that's another one which was similar to, as we mentioned recently. But there's nothing you can do about it. Jeff the Killer says, Q&A Trev, Daryl Negan team up, could it happen? So I think it will happen. I think they said in episode 3 that they're going to unleash Negan or something like this, so that could be fun. So we'll see what they do with Negan. They haven't used him, a whole lot this season. He's there, but he's sort of kind of there, but in the background a lot. So I'm looking forward to seeing him, come more to the forefront in The Walking Dead. Also, without Michonne being there, I think it would make sense for him to kind of step up a little bit more, and hopefully we do get to see that as well, too. Christopher Swope says, the hangover from the shittiness of Fear of the Walking Dead is affecting the main series. With the second half of Fear Season 5. So I don't think it really, it's always been that way with Fear that, there's only a certain percentage of the audience that watches Fear. The funny thing is you could probably say about half of the amount of people that like The Walking Dead watch Fear, or a little less than half. And that's just kind of almost always been the way. After the first season, that's always kind of how it is. And so I don't know if the second half of Season 5 of Fear not being that good really would, turn people off from watching The Walking Dead original television series. I think more than anything it would be Rick's not there, so that has an effect, and he's your biggest star of The Walking Dead that there is, with Daryl being kind of second. But Daryl pulling, further in front now because he's kind of at the forefront at this point. But Rick is the biggest star of The Walking Dead. I don't think anybody can argue that. So losing him, definitely, it's going to hurt one way or another, no matter how good of a job they do. It's going to hurt a bit. There's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. And then the comics ending also hurt the original Walking Dead television series more than I thought they would. I thought they wouldn't really hurt it much because I thought it was like, well, not that many people read the comics versus watch the show. But I think it did have an impact too, because it made people feel like, okay, it's gone on long enough, it should end, and then the TV series keeps going, and they're like, okay, I'm not gonna watch. So, but I don't want to sound all doom and gloom. There are enough people watching; it should be just fine. And luckily, they had the idea to come out with Premiere, which, if nothing else, that should help The Walking Dead go on longer, long term. So, thankfully, whoever decided to come up with Premiere, as annoying it is that people are at different watching points, viewpoints in the series at different times. Still, it's probably better for The Walking Dead. That way they can continue it on more seasons, and it's just better for everybody. The actors, the cast, they're gonna have jobs, and it's good for us fans. We're gonna have something to watch, so that's great. So I'm glad they came out with Premiere. If anything, it's gonna help for sure. Give them other ways to generate revenue. That way they don't have to worry so much about the actual ratings going down for advertisements and things like that. Because Daryl and Carol are expensive. I think they cost millions of dollars a season, I would think. Kang era Daryl says, who cares? Come on, Trev. You must acknowledge that the genre is slowly dying, and the constant drop in ratings prove it. The demand is not that high, and the hype was barely existent for season 10. Well, I think us here online, we were pretty excited for Walking Dead season 10. It's still one of the biggest shows on television. It's still my favorite series of all time. It's the original Walking Dead. Fear actually is one of my favorites too, as a matter of fact. Even though season 5 second half is like whatever, I still love the first 3 seasons of Fear. I thought it was a great journey, and the first half is not that bad. And so even though it's been inconsistent, I think, with Fear the last couple of years, it's still another one of my series I've looked forward to and enjoyed the most of almost any, even though the story of Fear is probably not quite as good as the original Walking Dead. But, you're right. It wasn't as hyped as usual. Again, no Ricks, so there's things that are changing. But they're doing the best they can for us, and I think we just have to try to stay positive and try to appreciate what they are doing, and understanding that none of this really had anything to do with the actual cast and crew that's in the series now. All this other stuff is additional stuff, and it's just, there's nothing anybody can do about it, so we might as well just ignore it and enjoy the series for however many more years it has. And if Premiere does that well, maybe another 5 years is not out of the question. I hope so. I hope that would be good. I would like that if they kept it going for another 4 or 5 years. After that point, it's like, or even 3 years. After that point, it's like, okay, if you want to end it, no problem. But I hope it goes for at least a little while longer. Little Scream says, hi Trev, how are you honestly liking this new season so far? I think it's pretty good so far. So after the second episode, and we'll end with that one. So far, it is pretty good. I thought the first one looked like a movie. The first episode was like a movie quality, which was really cool, and definitely a lot different from what we were getting in Fear with the zombies and everything in the second half of season 5 of Fear. So it definitely was cool to see. Happy to see Daryl, happy to see Michonne and Carol and everybody else again too, Negan and all that. And so, the second episode being a Whisper focus episode, I always wish we would have got one of those for the Saviors. We never did. That could have been cool for Season 8 to kind of stretch out Season 8 a bit if they had to fill out some time. But they didn't do it. They never did that. They might eventually do a special, like a TV special for the Saviors and how they got started. They're working on some different Walking Dead TV specials. So short series, limited run series, flashback TV movies, stuff like this. They've said that they're working on. So we'll see what they get done. And here's to hoping for me, at least, and maybe some of you guys, if you're interested, on a Savior's origin type of thing. But I was happy they did that with the Whispers, because I always wish we would have got with the Saviors. We never did. And, I thought it helped build up Alpha and helped build up the Whispers even more than they were at before. So I thought it was good, and I am enjoying the season so far. I'm actually kind of somewhat impressed with how much I'm still enjoying The Walking Dead. Like the second half of Season 9, this start, and then the last few episodes of Season 9, this first half. Because after Rick was gone, it's like, it's still been really good. And before that happened, I was thinking that it might totally kill the show to take Rick out. But luckily, the way they did it, they worked it out, and we're going to get to see him in the movies eventually, even if it takes a while. I'm looking forward to it, and it's certainly better than nothing. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below about the Walking Dead movies release eventually. Some of these questions here. Leave me more questions and about Ryan Hurst, having to put in the work and being hospitalized for for heat exhaustion. I shouldn't laugh because it's not. I've had it before too. By the way, I used to work on a farm when I was younger, and I got it too. I got heat exhaustion. I have to call in sick the next day. That kind of thing. You just can't even. Lots of water and your temperature's all thrown off. So it sucks. So maybe I shouldn't laugh. It does suck. Anyway, that's it for this one, guys. We'll see you again soon for another. As always, this is Trev. Say peace later, guys. See you soon.